Hola, ¿qué tal? Buenos días. Sean bienvenidos todos a este seminario. ¿Me pueden confirmar en el chat si se escucha? Perfecto. Bueno, sean bienvenidos a este seminario, dando seguimiento a los que hemos tenido en base a lo que es análisis de agua. El día de hoy estaremos enfocándonos en el tema de OxiTop. Sean bienvenidos todos a este seminario. ¿Me pueden confirmar en el chat si se escucha? Eh, Les recordamos que perdón, unas fallas técnicas, aquí está. Les recordamos que pueden dejar sus preguntas en la sección de comentarios y preguntas y respuestas, o si quieren levantar la mano, nosotros abriremos un micrófono para darles la voz y que puedan preguntar. Sin problema pueden ser preguntas en español o en inglés. Y bueno, para dar atención, damos la bienvenida a Giovanna, quien nos dará la introducción en la parte de OxiTop. Thank you, Giovanna. You can start.
Thank you, Jesus. I'm going to share my screen. And there we go. Okay, and I want to say welcome everyone for joining us to this customer webinar today. We welcome you to the presentation on OxiTop technology, a unique system for BOD and more. My name is Giovanna Esposito, and I am the Latin America Sales Manager for the Lab Solution vertical with Xylem Analytics. Today, we will introduce you to Xylem and VTV, followed by the presentation on the OxiTop system by Mr. Reitmeyer, the Senior Product Manager for Lab, Field, and BOD. So Xylem is a global technology leader with customers to solve the most critical water resource challenges. Xylem has more than 70,000 colleagues around the world with diverse water expertise, along with presence and operations in 7 continents. Our products are sold in over 150 countries. We move, measure, analyze, and treat water. We partner with customers to solve their most important water challenges. Our solutions span through the entire cycle. We bring together advanced technologies, applications expertise, and smart, sustainable solutions. Measurement and control is a segment of Xylem with a revenue of approximately 1.4 million. VTV is a Xylem brand and part of the measurement and control solutions segment located in Walheim, Germany. Xylem Analytics' largest location with over 400 employees. VTV was founded in 1945, moved from Wesselbrunn to Walheim in 1954. In 1965, VTV came out with the first dissolved oxygen meter. In 1990, VTV started with the online measurement technology. In 2003, VTV was acquired by Nova Analytics. In 2010, Nova Analytics was then acquired by ITT Technology. And in 2011, Xylem emerged from the spin-off of the ITT Fluid Division of ITT Corporation. In 2013, Ebro, another Xylem brand, was integrated and moved to Walheim's location. And in 2016, 4 other brands were integrated in this location, and it became Xylem Analytics Germany. The product portfolio from the lab, the product portfolio includes handheld meters and sensors, desktop devices and sensors, photometry, and biochemical demand devices. On the process side, the portfolio includes the IQ SensorNet, a state-of-the-art process control technology, analyzers for river monitoring, process monitoring, and process control, as well as the Multiline 1000 for the monitoring of clean drinking water. Here you see an image of the new facility in Valheim, Germany, of Xylem Analytics, Germany. And now it is my pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Klaus Reitmeier, the Senior Product Manager for Lab, Field, and BOD. Mr. Reitmeier holds a PhD in crystallography from the University of Ludwig-Maximilians in Munich and has more than 20 years of experience in the field of electrochemistry, OxiTop, and process electrotechnology. Mr. Reitmeier is also a member of the Dean Committee for pH and Conductivity and the European Directorate of Quality of Medicine and Healthcare. Mr. Reitmeier enjoys hiking, playing classical guitar, and horseback riding. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Klaus Reitmeier. Thank you, Klaus. I'm going to stop sharing and turn it over to you.
Thank you, Joanna, for this friendly introduction. So now I will share my screen so that we can go directly into the presentation. Just one moment. So hopefully, okay, we take this one. So, okay, now you should see my screen.
Yes, we see it.
Okay, and now you okay, we have to, this is typically if you deal with, I will just change the, so now you should see the presentation view, the right view, not the presentation view, Joanna?
No, it's not in the presentation view yet.
Okay, this is, okay. Then we just change the one moment. Sorry, this is now it's still not the correct presentation here.
We don't see the presentation yet, Klaus.
Okay, you see. Okay, so one moment. I will just. One moment. Oh, we just have to do it once again.
So we have the presentation.
No.
We have the presentation, but if you go up to the screen, I think right at the top right and click, then it should come in the presentation form. There's like a little square at the top.
Yes, well, now it's no, it's something and no, it does not work the way
you want it to work. Well, you can see it this way too.
One moment, so I
there
will
you
just.
Go. Now you got it. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
is it now? It's visible?
Yes, but we don't have the presentation though. We have.
You have the
the background, your background only.
And now?
No, not yet.
Yeah,
The
this is
presentation.
This is really funny. I have
Not-
currently
we don't
no
see the
idea
presentation.
what the, yeah, okay. So we take this screen. One moment. So apologize for the, but
No.
No problem.
so one moment. So I just share screen. Now, do you see the presentation?
We see the presentation now, yes.
Okay. So, and now it's started from here. It opens it in a different window. And it does not change the
view. I think we can see it this way. You can proceed this way if you like, but I think if you go up on the right corner of the banner where there is like the return, and then there's like a little square. I think if you click on that little square, it will put it in the presenter or presentation.
Yeah, I know that the thing is that it does not change the presenter presentation, the view.
Okay.
For some reason,
Mm-hmm.
it does not change the. One moment, there's the.
But we can proceed this way, Klaus. It's okay.
Yes.
Okay, if it for some reason the system does what it does.
It
does
does
something.
right.
Okay, so then we simply work it this way. Okay, now you can see the screen.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, then let's go into this. Sorry for the inconvenience. This is sometimes technique is something different. Okay, I'm talking today about OxiTop, which is a special system for BOD measurement. And typically we have, when we are talking about oxygen BOD, we have to talk about oxygen consumption parameters. And from this, we have two common parameters. One is the COD, which is the chemical oxygen demand, and the BOD. The BOD is always included in the COD, and that means that we have also, we expect usually a certain ratio between both of them. And in a normal municipal wastewater, you will see that the BOD has a ratio to the COD has a ratio of 2:1. This is a typical thing. Well, biochemical oxygen demand, this is a sum parameter because it is simply a sum parameter of all the metabolism in an aerobic process. And it's a very old measurement because it was first introduced in 1912 in the United Kingdom, and where the people started to deal with the treatment of wastewater. And from that time, of course, it's developed, and today it's a part of many standards. So, for instance, for the DIN EN 18992, it's in the ISO 5815-2, and of course in the ASTM of water and wastewater analysis, the 5210D. So this is a very old measurement, as I said, but we have different, let's say, different methods to measure it. So usually, if people are or have to do an official BOD, then they have to do the dilution BOD, because this is the reporting method, and that means if the people have to do dilution series, you need trained personnel. And of course, people know how to deal with some laboratory instruments, because you need an oxygen probe, you need special bottles, Wheaton bottles in this case. In Germany, you have different bottles. And for this is, of course, the test which is normally accepted by the authorities. It's the 5815-1 or in the standard methods is the 5210B to be found in this section. Then we have a second thing, and this is the respirometric BOD. This is a proposed method in the ASTM and in the standard methods, and also in Germany, for instance, it's a blueprint method. But it's a very efficient method if you do this on a self-check, because you don't have to form any dilution series. You simply adjust the measuring range by the sample volume. So there's no calculation in front of it. If you know how big is your COD, then you know what you could expect as BOD, and from the BOD you have the possibility to that we have some special bottles for this, and or overflow measuring flask, and with this nice measuring flasks, you can simply adjust the volume of the sample to meet the corresponding measuring range. And the measuring range, the measurement itself, it's not a concentration measurement, but it's a measurement simply of the pressure, which will be converted into a BOD reading. So what we are doing in this is that we are doing, or we pretend to have a wastewater treatment plant in a bottle. This is actually what happens because we have a closed system. We take where the sample is stirred, like in an aeration basin, and so what happens is that with the oxygen that's in the liquid and the oxygen in the gas phase, the bacteria start to decompose the organic carbon freight. The samples are taken from the inlet and from the outlet just to see the efficiency. And this is something which is, of course, helpful in the long term to adjust the process parameters of a wastewater treatment plant. It's not a method for instant monitoring. This is something I have to point out because the result will be seen after 5 days. Why I wrote BODX, there are also some countries in the world who do not have not the BOD5, but the BOD7. Especially Scandinavian countries have this way of measurement. Okay, what do what is the background of this? So we need, of course, some prerequisitions, and we are dealing with small animals, with microbes, which are decomposing the carbon freight. So they have, of course, some, let's say, prerequisites. That means they want to have a pH which is around 7. Then they want to have a well-balanced menu card. So they want to see some carbons, they want to see some nitrogen and some phosphate. Then, of course, they need oxygen, because we want to see how much oxygen they need for digesting. So basically, it is what happens in the wastewater treatment plant. And if you put this in a closed bottle, then of course the amount of oxygen, and this will be seen on the next slide. So you would decompose the carbons to CO2, and that means you have one molecule oxygen on the one side, one molecule carbon dioxide on the other side. That means the pressure would usually be the same. Of course, we do some tricky thing. We take out the carbon dioxide by an absorbent. That means, for instance, by sodium hydroxide. This forms a solid precipitation, and in consequence, the pressure inside the bottle is decreasing. And this is a measure for the consumed oxygen. Well, how do we measure this? So we have these fancy heads which are put on the tip of a bottle, And you can see these heads have different colors. This is simply for determining what kind of sample do I have. Do I have an inlet sample? Then let's take the gray one. If you want to have the clean outlet sample, take the blue one. Basically, both heads are completely identical. It's simply your choice what kind of color you want to take. Then these, and you can see also these heads have some nice features like a small display which has a graph which where you can read out directly the BOD value in milligrams per liter, or you can even have a curve. The system on the right we will talk later on in the second part of the presentation. This is a more sophisticated system. This OxiTop I is a system which is easy to be used, for instance, on a wastewater treatment plant. So this is the formula which we use to calculate the BOD. We will see this formula later on a little bit more in detail. This is just a rough idea how to convert the pressure measurement into a BOD value. And of course, what we are doing is during this, well, I already mentioned it, we are steering the samples rigorously just to have a good exchange of the oxygen, which is of course that is dissolved in the liquid, but is also in the gas phase above. Okay, whatever, there are also some things which have to be considered with every BOD measurement, not only the respirometric BOD, also the dilution BOD. So typically the sampling should always come from the same source. Usually the people are using mixed samples, which are taken over a period of 24 hours, once a day on the inlet and on the outlet. And these samples are used for determining the BOD. Then, of course, they will be homogenized because to make sure that there are no bigger particles in. And steering is the best way to do this, because if you take something like a homogenizer, then you will also destroy the cells, and that is not the way. Then the oxygen concentration should be at the saturation. If the samples are stored for a longer time, then it's necessary to aerate the samples just to make sure that the bacteria have enough oxygen available. Then something which is very important, you have to add a nitrification inhibitor, because the reaction or the reaction from ammonium to nitrite and nitrate also is a process which consumes oxygen. And this is, of course, not wanted. I can show you this on the next slide. So here we have we use a special nitrification inhibitor. It's allylthiorea. This is a substance which suppresses the activity of the bacteria that decompose the ammonium to nitrate and nitrite. And you see both curves if you add this or if you leave it. And of course, the magenta curves is the right one because it gives you the correct the correct BOD. The other one would be falsificated by the additional consumption of oxygen by the nitrification. So we only want to emphasize the measurement of carbon, of carbons, of depletion of carbons, and not the depletion of ammonium. Then, okay, I already said pH value around 7, but also important that are no inhibiting or toxic ingredients should be in the inside the sample. For instance, residuals from a cleaner, when the bottles are cleaned, this could have a negative impact if a chemical cleaner is used to clean the bottles after the experiment. So they should be cleaned with a brush and hot water just to avoid residuals of detergents. And of course, the sample must not contain chlorine or other things, because this would inhibit or kill the process. Here we have some examples of different what could happen. So, of course, the curve B would be the ideal curve because it shows a perfect BOD measurement. If you have a curve A, for instance, then this would then the measuring range has been adjusted wrong. So the measuring range was too small for the big BOD, which this could happen if, for instance, because the COD, let's say if you have let's say a slaughterhouse or a dairy which produces a lot of let's say a BOD, and the COD may be in an acceptable range, but the BOD might be a little or much higher than usual, so the ratio is different. Then this could happen that the measuring range has been adjusted in the wrong way. Then curve E, this is the unwanted nitrification. The curve D would show that we have an inhibited system. That means something is inside the water which kills bacteria or prevents them from doing their work. And this would also is a result of if something has happened to the wastewater treatment plant. And finally, curve C is a curve that if the system is leaky or if too less absorbent is in the quiver of the bottle, so the pressure will increase, and that will lead to a decrease of the BOD. So always keep in mind, an increasing curve is a decreasing pressure, and an increasing BOD is a decreasing BOD is an increasing pressure in the bottle. Okay, well, just to introduce a little bit the small heads, the OxiTop I heads. So we have some nice features. So we have, of course, the possibility to adjust the measuring time between 1 day and 7 days. As I told you, we have also people in Scandinavian countries who are usually do 7 days BOD, but the normal is a 5-day BOD. Then we can select between different reports. So we have the possibility, of course, most important is the milligram per liter reading of the BOD. But for testing purposes, it's also possible to select the absolute pressure or the differential pressure for testing purposes, for instance. Then we adjust the sample volume. This is what I told you in the beginning. We have different flasks, and you will find the volume of these flasks also in the head, and you select simply according to your expected measuring range the appropriate volume. And we have a nice feature. This is the so-called auto-temp function. This makes sure as long as the sample temperature is between 15 and 21 degrees, then the system automatically will start the measurement at the correct point. That means, and then when the pressure is decreasing. So it's not a temperature measurement as the name AutoTemp will suggest. It's a measurement of pressure, because if you, for instance, if you have a cold or a sample which has a temperature of 17 degrees, and you put it into the 20 degrees incubator, then of course the pressure will increase. And this is what the head detects, that the pressure is increasing. So it waits for a time, says, oh, the pressure is increasing, so I will zero the system. And then the system waits again, and what is happening? Is the pressure decreasing or increasing? Is the pressure once again increasing? Then it will zero the measurement again. This will be done over 3 hours, and usually as soon as the system detects that the pressure decreases, then it will start automatically the measurement. If the pressure is, or if the sample is too cold, then unfortunately we have no chance, because also in the standard is written that the measurement after preparation has to start within 4 hours, and this is what we guarantee with this feature. Then we can, of course, in comparison to a dilution BOD, we can have intermediate values. So we can look what's the system is doing, how is the curve developing, are the values okay. So by a short press on the display, you will have the chance to see this. So it's always it's a good control option to see if everything is running smoothly or if there are any problems. Then you can the final results. So you will get a message, and we have also a nice LED on this heads. And this LED also indicates when the measurement has finished. That means, for instance, during a normal operation, during normal measurement, this LED is blinking in a friendly blue. And after the measurement has finished, it will automatically switch to green. Then the user knows, oh, my measurement is ready. I don't have to look after the values on the screen anymore. So it's ready. So now I can read out the final data, and the final data will be stored inside the heads as long as I do not start a new measurement. Then I have also some nice settings like languages. For your country, of course, it will be Spanish, and we can switch the illumination and all that stuff. And we have also the possibility to set an ID for the head for easy identifying. So it's possible from 001 to 999 to set an individual ID on the head, just for documentation or controlled possibilities. Then we have date and time inside, and also some special features. We just one remark on the bottle volume. The system is not a new system. It's the predecessor started around in 1995, which is almost 30 years ago, and since that time we were always able that we could supply bottles, exact bottles, or the same bottle for this measurement devices. You know, today we are facing big supply chain issues, and in case that one day we will not be able to supply these bottles, then we will have the chance that we have new bottles and that we can set the volume for the bottle. But please never change the volume as long as we tell you this, because this will have a very strong consequences on the measurement values. So the only thing that that your customers should adjust, or that you should adjust, is the sample volume, and never the bottle volume, except we are spreading out information that we have that we have new bottles for this. And we have also a special routine for checking a single head. This is where you can simply check the pressure sensor on its functioning. The operating principle is simply on the head, because we have some menu structure behind. So we have a short press and the press and hold for deeper manuals. But this is just only to mention how to operate these. Okay, here now you see the full equation, as I promised you, with all the different constants which we are using for this. And here is also here you see also the influence of the bottle volume. It's so if you would change this, this would have an influence on the full, an impact on the full BOD value. And unfortunately, we learned that some customers did this and they called our technical support, but it was easy to help them because we knew within a second what has happened. And the only thing for the customer was the bad thing is that, of course, this specific measurement was lost, but for the future, everything would be okay. Okay. Well, some important points just to summarize a little bit this. So we have a menu controlled LCD display on this. We have this adjustable period, and we can represent the values not only as values, but also the curve just to see how it develops. Then, as I told you, we have the control LED for signalizing the current operating state. And one important thing is, even if you have to change the battery, which is normally once in 1.5 a year, up to 2 years, depending on the time of operation, the settings. Once you have set, okay, I have my inlet samples, which I always feed with 164 milliliters, then this setting will remain inside the head, so there's no need to program them after after the change of a battery. And if you are quick enough, it's also possibly that you do not have to change or that you do not have to set date and time on this. Then I said we have the plastic housing in blue and gray, just to assign it to the of inlet and outlet according to your wishes. And of course, this system is easily expandable because you can, if you have the requirement for more heads, simply buy new bottles, new heads, new steering platforms, and you can put we can have 6 bottles or 12 bottles on a steering platform. So that's really a flexible system. Here, just a little bit short comparison between the dilution BOD and the respirometric BOD. So for adjusting the measuring range, as I said, in the dilution BOD, you have to do dilution series, which is, of course, needs a certain time and experience. With a respirometric BOD, you only adjust the sample volume. Measurement principle is on the dilution BOD, DO measurement with a sensor, could be optical or an electrochemical sensor. On the other side, it's simply a pressure measurement. Duration will be the same, usually 5 days on both sides. Incubation temperature is also the same, 20 degrees. Steering is, of course, with the dilution, no, because you have no, they are in the incubator and they will not be moved anymore. You have no intermediate results in comparison to the respirometric BOD, and you have, of course, also no storage of data endpoints. That means the sample has to be treated after 5 days. It's not possible to leave it over the weekend or something like this. Even on Saturday, someone has come to the lab and do the measurements. This is not necessary with the respirometric BOD because the last measurement will be stored and could be read out easily on Monday. Then we have ease of use. Dilution requires trained staff. You can simply, it's easy to learn for the respirometric BOD. Of course, different is in the reporting. The official reporting method is the dilution. The self-check is the respirometric BOD. Well, okay, this is a short view on the specifications. So the BOD measuring range is up to 4,000 milligrams per liter. We have the selectable measuring period, and we have the sample volumes, as I already introduced. The control LED is a red, green, and blue, and we use one battery, which is a CR2450. Okay, if you need some information, we have information on our website, of course. And we have also the possibility that in case from questions, then please contact our technical support. And we have also a flyer available just where we have more information on the system. Well, any questions up to now?
Okay. Klaus, I don't see any questions at the moment.
Okay.
Jesus, you might want to ask if anybody has any questions.
Yes. Thank you, Klaus. Joanna. Lo pueden preguntar sin problemas en español, igual en el chat o en la sección de preguntas y respuestas, o si quieren que abramos su micrófono, solo levanten la mano y sin problema abrimos el micrófono.
Okay, I think if no questions, then I would continue with the OxiTop IDS.
Well, they say don't have questions.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well-
Hold on. Hold on, there is one, right? There's one
Yes.
question. Yeah.
One question. Okay.
Is the system have the incube? Let me.
Oh, they want to know if it includes the incubator.
Incubator.
No.
Yeah.
No incubators are not included in the system. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the incubators have to be sourced separately, and to be honestly, our incubators are made for the European market because the company who is supplying the base is manufacturing them, let's say for the continent. And so but you can use any incubator. The only prerequisite is that you have outlets inside for connecting with the steering platform.
That's good to know. Okay, yes, that's actually new information for me as well, Klaus. Thank you. So
Okay.
Our incubators are specifically only for the European market, specifically.
Yes. This is on the one side the voltage 230 volts, and also we have a 40 hertz system, 50 hertz system.
Okay.
So it's if someone, of course there are some solutions with converters and so on, but it's funny, but some of our incubators also found the way across the ocean. Yes. I don't know who bought them, but I had no complaints, so obviously it worked.
Yeah, but typically, so I guess, well, and I think in some region of Latin America, there is a 220 volt. So I guess this would work, right?
Yeah, this will work. Yeah, this will work.
Mexico has a 110 volt. So in the other regions of Latin America, then we could, they could potentially have the incubator as long as they have the 220 voltage.
Yes.
Correct. Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Well, then so this is now a little bit different system. It's basically the same thing with the OxiTop I. It's a pressure measurement, but here we have two different heads. And we have the possibility to program them and to read out also the data from the heads with our multi-IDS, which I introduced at my last presentation. So the multi-IDS is really an interesting instrument because it does not only cover the electrochemical application, it also covers the OxiTop IDS application. And the So, okay, what we did is that we had a system in the past which was called OxiTop C, and we took the functionality of the OxiTop C and integrated it into the multi 3620 or 3630. And so we can switch between the electrochemical and the OxiTop applications. You can easily use the system for both measurements. There is no interferences. They are completely separated. What we have is that we have the BOD functionality, a pure BOD functionality. We have a BOD special functionality where we can change a lot of parameters additionally. And we have the pure pressure mode, which works in both directions. That means it works with overpressure and also with underpressure. And the system also allows us the data acquisition with a USB memory drive, or the multi-lab importer, which has our common Excel add-in for all kind of measurements from electrochemical, now up to turbidity and also OxiTop. All these different measurements can be collected in Excel with a multi-lab importer add-in. So just to see a little bit on the different parameters. So BOD, this is the standard BOD. So we have the 20 degrees, and we have on the one hand the fixed sample volumes, and this is the normal. It's interesting for people who are doing a lot of BOD measurement. Then of course such an IDS system is a thing which is interesting. Then we have the BOD special. This is for more, let's say, sophisticated examinations. If you want to change if you want to use different bottles, if you want to change the bottle volume, if you want to do a dilution series, because it's possible to measure up to 400,000 milligram per liter BOD with the system by using the dilutions calculation of this system. Well, and also the temperature can be set between 5 and 40 degrees for special requirements. And the most powerful parameter is the pure pressure measurement, which allows in many applications to calculate from the pressure change to different parameters. I will see later. We will see this later on a little bit. One thing which is a little bit, just want to point out is we have a certain hierarchy in the measurement. So the customer has always to define what he wants to do with a specific set, because it's easy. You can do different respirometric tasks in different sets on the same instrument. So you defined for a set the overall parameters. So what do you want to do? Do you want to do a BOD measurement? Do you want to do a BOD special or a pressure measurement? So this will be defined for one set, and one set consists of, for instance, you can imagine this as a steering platform with 6 or 12 bottles, just to give a visualization of this. Then, of course, you have inside this set, you have different samples. And sample means, in this case, for instance, you have, just to stick to the picture of the BOD measurement, you have the samples with for the inlet measurement, which of course requires a different volume because of the high BOD in comparison to the outlet measurement, where you expect a very low BOD because all the carbons have already been degraded. So it's much less left, and that means that the measuring range, of course, is smaller and the volume is higher. This can be set in the sample. And of course, for the different sample, you have to program the head. And just to visualize this a little bit, set here you see 6 bottles on a steering platform, 3 of them, or any number you want. You can also have 6 different samples on this. Of course, there's no, but a sample always means this has a specific measurement task, and the specific measurement task will be programmed on the head. So what can we do? So we can manage up to 100 heads, and they could be distributed over 12 sets. A set could consist of maximum 12 samples, and each sample can have maximum 12 heads. So if you calculate, this would exceed by far the capability of the system, but these are the absolute numbers for the specific thing. So always keep in mind, not more than 100 heads with one controller. You can define your set name. This is just for identification. If you don't want to do this, then automatically the current date will be set. And if you start more samples, more sets at a day, then automatically an index will count upwards. So there's no danger of mixing up anything. Then you define the kind of measurement, BOD special, or P, or the pressure mode. You define the overall measuring period. It's possible to measure up to 180 days. You define how many measure points you want to have. Usually 1 point per day, but of course there are tests which require more data points. So we have maximum 360 data points, which will be splitted over the complete period. Then you have a power save mode inside, because we are using a Bluetooth connection. Bluetooth means that you have some battery consumption. And you have some status LED warning pressure. This is only for BOD, for measurement of pressure. And we have also a function which calls GLP. I want just to point out that there is no standard that requires calibration of such a system. This is more or less a check of a complete system, and the heads which have been checked will be marked or indicate intrinsically that this check has performed, and this is for quality measurement a possibility. Then, okay, next thing is the sample, because I'm just running out of time a little bit with the problems in the beginning. The sample is that where you define the parameters as just to stick to the BOD inlet and BOD outlet. So you will have this. You have to separate this in two samples. And for instance, if you want to have a threefold determination, then you would align 3 bottles, for instance, for the inlet measurement, and align 3 bottles for the outlet measurement. Also here you can do a lot of settings. And if you're using the BOD special, then you can adjust the sample volume, you can adjust the measuring range or dilutions. This, of course, depends in itself. And so it's you will see that the system automatically calculates the desired value in dependency on the changes. Then, of course, something is that you have to allocate the specific measurement head to the set, and this is simply done at that time. You have to access the head. This is only one time, because you have to put to press a button, and when then the head will advertise its connection, and this will you accept them on the meter, and then automatically this head is written in a registry, and the measurement, and you repeat these steps until all heads are registered for the measurement. And after this is done, then you can start a measurement. So here, this is just an example for such a set and different with a double determination and different samples. So for instance, for an OECD measurement, which is some kind of special BOD, you will have a sample with a substance which is for examination and a seed. Then, of course, you have a second sample which has the substance, which is only the seed, so it's a blank control. Then you have the dilution water itself, which contains usually no seed and no substance. And then you have so-called abiotic control, where you kill everything by adding, for instance, copper sulfide or something like this, just to see if there are no chemical reactions which could also consume oxygen. So, but in consequence, this makes 8 heads in 4 samples if you have a double determination, just to illuminate this a little bit. Okay, then you can start everything at the same time with one button press. After everything is prepared, the head are screwed on the bottles, then you do only one button press, and then the complete measurement will be started without any additional things. And of course, you have the same possibility that you can view current readings, so you can read out. Then you can also read out the data with the multi-lab importer, as I already said, or you put the data on a USB stick in a CSV data file. And it's always, you can do this as soon as you have, as there are data available in the heads, depends on the measurement settings, etc. Then you can read out the data from them. And here you see, for instance, this would be a printout from the multi-lab importer. So it contains in the header all information about all the experiments and all the what you have adjusted and so on, date and starting time, and everything which is necessary to document. And below you will see the ID of the head, which has been manually adjusted. You see the serial number of the head, and of course you see the results in you see the elapsed time, and you see also the results in milligram per liter or whatever unit you have chosen in the settings. Then one thing is I want to emphasize is that we have, as I said, we have a Bluetooth connection, and of course it makes no sense that the head is advertising all the time. That means that he's always available to the read of the data. No one will be at midnight in the laboratory and wants to read out the data. So we can define a certain time span where someone usually wants to access the data in the laboratory. Let's say I know that every day in the morning when I come into the laboratory, I will see, I will have a look at my experiments. So I will, let's say, between 8 and 12, the heads should be ready for reading the values. And after that time, the head goes sleeping again. That means it's measuring, but there's no possibility to access it from outside. So I have to wait for the other morning. Of course, it's possible manually to access the head and to read out data in a case of, let's say, emergency. This is what happens. So if you would have the eco mode off, that you would have around 100 days of continuous battery power. This is sometimes a little bit low. So if you set this to availability of 3 hours per day, then you would have 2 years of continuous power for the battery inside the head. And this is only theoretically. If you would set it to half an hour per day, then you would have 5 years. But this is also the usual lifetime of a lithium battery. So this is just for, let's say, this is a fun fact. And of course, the maximum measuring interval we have on the system is 180 days. One thing I want to point out, what happens if your meter breaks down? This is a very nasty thing because the data are stored always inside the head. But if the meter is broken for any reason, let's say it fell on the concrete and split and smashed into 1,000 pieces, then it's no fun. Of course, we could recover the data because you can send in the meter and then we will take out the memory and read out the data and we'll put it on a new meter. This takes time. So the easiest way is that you can, with a special routine inside the meter, you can transmit all the data, the meter data of all running experiments on a USB memory drive. And in case the meter fails, you simply take a meter on loan or something like this, or you have a new meter or you have a second meter available, then you can restore all the data. You can back to or you can recover the meter, all the data on the new meter, all the data on the new meter, and then you have again the full access to all heads. So I would this really recommend to all people who are doing long-term experiments with the OxiTop IDS system, because you never know what happens, and it's really the easiest way to get to have a safe data management. So now I just want to step very shortly over the different sets and kits we are providing. So for all kinds of aerobic degradation, we have different sets. So the amber bottles for the BOD measurement, amber bottles because to prevent the growth from algae, for instance, which could produce oxygen. No one wants to produce oxygen in a BOD measurement. So this is one thing. But if we have also special setups for special tests, and so we have 1 liter bottles and 250 milliliter bottles. The rule of the thumb is always, if you have a good degradability, it's useful to have a big volume and a big gas volume. If you have a low degradability, use a small volume, because the system is very sensitive to thermal effects. And it's good if you expect low degradability, you should have a small gas volume just to have a better pressure signal. Here you see a typical curve of an OECD 301F testing. So this is a smooth curve of an 1-octanol, and you see there's a good degradation after 10 days. You have for a good degradable substance, you have to have a degradation of at least 60%. Here we have 61.6%, and this is the blank quarter in the bottom, which should be less than 60 milligram per liter after 28 days. Okay, this is everything that deals with liquid. So the next, this is, we have the sample preparation for this is according to existing standards. So we'll find a lot of standard material, and for this we have also the menu guided settings inside the meter. And of course, we have also the possibility to get the direct calculation of the BOD in milligram per liter if desired. But we have also other things like soil respiration. And soil respiration is something which we do always in the pressure mode, because there is no possibility to calculate it with a BOD formula. So you have different activities of the soil, of course, and you adjust them as well by the size of the vessel, and that means small vessel, low activity, medium vessel, better or a high activity, and if you have biomechanically treated waste, which has really an extreme high activity, then we have also special vessels with a size of 2.5 liters. This is a curve which is combined, a pressure curve, combined in Excel. So you see this pressure difference over time, and the people are the calculation is not so easy, because you need a very let's say a very sophisticated sample preparation, and the calculation of the respiratory activity is given in an oxygen consumption in terms of the dry matter. And that means that there's some external calculation necessary and it's not so convenient as with the BOD measurement, where we take over the complete calculations. We are also measuring with the pressure mode in the opposite direction. That means we are also measuring in the overpressure. And for this, we have these fancy bottles, which are in fact designed for measuring in anaerobic tests. And for this, we have the bottles which have these nozzles, and we have also the heads with the gray lowercase, which are designed for pressure measurement in the for the biogas. And the reason you will see on the next slide, because here we have something which is a component of some biogas. It's hydrogen sulfide. Hydrogen sulfide is a highly corrosive gas, and it will have an impact on the pressure sensor. So we have a special pressure sensor inside, which allows the use of these heads. And we also have an extended pressure range, because from time to time you have to relieve the pressure inside the bottle. The bottles are highly pressure resistant, much more pressure than we allow for the heads. So, but always be careful when you're measuring with pressurized systems. And how do the curves look like? Here you have some curves with a cow manure, and you see in the last thing, in the last, you see these steps. And these steps are due to the fact that the people want to see the ratio between methane and carbon dioxide. And that means that you need these fancy bottles, because you can put in, so you will only need one of these quivers. So because with a syringe, you put into the sample some hydrochloric acid, just to expel the carbon dioxide in the sample at the end of the test. And then the other nozzle, you insert, there's a septum inside, you insert with a syringe some sodium or carbon or potassium hydroxide solution. And as a consequence of this, you trap all the CO2 in the sample, and so you get the difference between the methane and the carbon dioxide, which is always of interest when the people are doing biogas measurement. So I think there are many standards. I just want to skip this and go to the next slide. Okay, I just want to mention that the heads can also be used without controller. This is, but only for a standalone BOD. And if the people are using this, they cannot read out the data. So it's only for a normal BOD. If you use it without controller, then they can be programmed as an OxiTop I system. We did it because it's simply inside the head. It's possible. The only thing I want to point out is that the control LED, in this special case, you see all the different settings, and you can also read out, of course, the data on the display of the heads. This is possible even if the heads are working with the IDS. So it's the same. We added one color. It's magenta, and magenta is always flashing when the head is advertising that it's ready for the Bluetooth connection. The rest is green. Measurement is finished, and red, of course, attention. That means, for instance, changing of the battery. And I can tell you that it's possible to change the battery on the head during an experiment without loss of data inside the head. So if the battery is getting weak during a long-term experiment, simply take out the battery on the go, replace it by a new one. The measurement will be automatically start again as soon as the power is restored. Okay, this is a short view. So you see the difference between the heads. The normal head has only 1250 hectopascal maximum. The biogas head goes up to 1500 hectopascal. And okay, the rest, I think we have a different battery inside. I want to point out this is an LS14T250 type, so this is important to know that it's different from the OxiTop I system. And for this, it's also necessary that you're always, this is a transport problem. The sodium hydroxide pellets have to be ordered separately with the IDS systems. They are not included for transport reasons. Well, okay. So OxiTop IDS, it has a lot of things. So we have the possibility to do all the degradation tests. We have a modular system because you can use the same head in different applications. You only change the vessel, for instance, then you can adjust it to different applications. So it's easy to use an orange head, an OxiTop IDS head, for soil respiration or for BOD measurement. No problem, simply buy the different vessel and you can use the heads for this task. Then we have the pressure measurement is a very robust measurement in terms of measurement technology. We have a really low cost of ownership. They only use the nitrification inhibitor. They use the sodium hydroxide pellets and from time to time a battery. That's all. Then you can easily switch to the IDS system to the ECAM system by adding an IDS sensor, and the data acquisition runs simply via PC. We have some application reports available, and the only thing I have to point out is if you are using Bluetooth, please make sure that you're allowed to use Bluetooth in your area. Please inform yourself because we have hundreds or almost 200 countries in the world, and almost every country has different allowances for the operation of Bluetooth. So if you need more support, please have a look on our website. And well, now if you need also our contact our tech info if you're interested in more things. And well, now, sorry for the delay. Have you any questions left?
Okay. Yes, Klaus, there was one question from earlier on, also from Mr. Raul Herrera. And he was asking, in some types of water that are heavily contaminated with, I guess, chemical, is it required to inoculate the bacteria?
This could be this could be necessary to do this. It depends a little bit on the even inoculated bacteria. They need a time to adapt to this. So it depends really on the conditions. So it could be used from an activated sludge, or but sometimes it could be necessary to put an extra portion of inoculum to get the biodegradation started. And of course, you will see this then you have an extended lag phase where the bacteria just get used to the new environment or to the composition of the sample, and this may take some time.
Okay, thank you, Klaus.
Thank you.
I don't see any other questions at this time, so this was the only one. I think if there are no more questions, I think we are good to end the meeting, the webinar. Jesus, yes?
Yes, well, let me say something in Spanish and we'll finish. Bueno, muchas gracias. Thank you very much, Giovanna, Klaus, for joining us and dar este seminario. Igual, les recuerdo a todos, vamos a mandar un correo con las constancias de participación, la grabación de los videos, tanto de este como lo que hemos llevado hasta ahorita de lo que es análisis de agua. También les compartiremos un formulario en cuestión de qué tipo de información les gustaría que habláramos más con ustedes, más enfocado en sus aplicaciones. Y igual, si no tienen las preguntas ahorita, con la información que les mandemos, surge alguna otra, pueden enviarnos a nosotros tal cual las preguntas, lo enviaremos directamente ya sea con Giovanna o con Klaus o con los especialistas de Analytech. Muchas gracias a todos. Thank you, Giovanna. Thank you, Klaus, again.
Thank you. Thank you, Klaus. Thank you.
Then thank you very much and apologize for the inconvenience in the beginning. Sorry. Yeah.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Thank you, everyone. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Have a nice day.
You too.